Right, I know. Hello, everyone. Anthony with Peaches Sound Stormwatch here. Good morning. Welcome back to the stream. As the title indicates, this is more of a radar watching stream. So I have Radar Scope Pro open right now, watching some storms with a history of producing lightning, particularly one to the north of Tahola right now. These are moving towards the north-northeast. So this one looks like it's gonna make a close approach to the Queets area. Probably skim a little bit east of La Push and Quileute, and probably impact areas of Forks if it holds at its current intensity. We got that down there. Let me put it in dual plane mode so I can show you velocity as well, because these do have areas of rotation. Especially this one right here, clear as day, little rotation couplet right there off the coast. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a water spout along Highway 101 sometime soon. Alright, thank you to whoever liked the stream. Hello and good morning. Alright, thank you for the additional like, and good morning everyone who's tuned in so far. Currently have Radar Scope Pro open. Left is composite reflectivity on radar, and the right is velocity. So we have a nice little shallow velocity couplet here associated with this thunderstorm approaching the coast. Is moving towards the north-northeast and threatens parts of Highway 101. This is Jefferson County seen right here, Grace Harbor, just below this line right here. This storm has a history of producing lightning, and also has a history of rotation. So looking at the rotation right here, this sort of gray-green little color here, these are inbound winds towards the radar. The red is away from the radar. So think of one excuse me, one area of velocity going this way and another going this way. And that is your embedded low-level rotation. Down here as well, nowhere near as strong of a rotation signature. Don't even think we have any rotation at all within this cell right now, but it has produced lightning in the past. A few of these echoes are still a little bit too far away from the radar to look at embedded rotation. Might have a little bit in this little cell too. approaching central BC right now. If we go back in time, look through the radar loop one more time. There we go, there's current. Yeah, so this is the one that I have eyes on right now. Little bit of low-level rotation on this cell that has a history producing lightning over the open waters. Okay, I think I got it posted out to everywhere. Now we just wait for it to hit the waves. Also got news as well that a new wind advisory was issued for Island County in particular. And the text I got was a little bit shocking to me, not gonna lie. So I'll need to show you guys this here in a second. Hang on, give me a moment. Go ahead and switch out radar scope real quick. So this is a new wind advisory issued at 9:45 this morning. Includes the cities of Langley and Freeland on Whidbey Island. Wind advisory in effect until 5 p.m. this afternoon. Southeast winds 15 to 30 with gusts to 55 miles per hour. Now, I couldn't believe this number when I saw it because the models are nowhere even close to showing a wind gust of that value. Let me show you what I mean here. If we go to the HER and NAM models, go and look at wind real quick. Wind gust swath. At least for the 16Z on the HER, only 30 to 32 mile per hour wind gusts across the entirety of Whidbey Island. 15Z, not much more. 14Z around the same. 13Z, same. 12Z, not much more impressive. So I don't know where that number came from, but that just seems... Yeah, it just seems crazy unrealistic to me that they would put out an alert like that for Island County. 55 mile per hour gusts. It's a little bit, like, way overwhelming. Probably, it might be because of this number. Perhaps I'm looking at max wind gusts since midnight. It says we had a 53 here in Oak Harbor. Yeah, so I guess it's based on real-time observations and not model forecasts. Because the model forecast for Whidbey Island is showing nothing remotely close to that. So this is most likely just one of those little short-term alerts that's out for current observations. Because, yeah, we do, for the Whidbey Island NAS, current wind gusts in the last 5 minutes or so, 46 miles per hour with a max gust of 53. So, really interesting to see that, especially when no models showed remotely close to this. At least today. All right, good morning, everyone. I see quite a larger audience starting to come in. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Anthony. I'm the host and founder of Puget Sound Stormwatch. Just looking over some current wind gusts at the moment. have a 46 mile per hour wind gust here in Whidbey, which has prompted the issuance of a wind advisory. At first, I thought this was based on model guidance, which wasn't even close to the number of 55 miles per hour. We did have a max gust of 53 already observed sometime after midnight, anytime between midnight and 10 a.m. in Oak Harbor. So I guess this alert is considered justified. Let's go check out my current station right now. All right, first viewers in. Hello, Mama Miyamoto. Good morning to you as well. Thank you for tuning in on short notice. Total rainfall since midnight, 0.14 inches and counting. Conditions currently overcast. I do see a little bit of a sun break off to the northwest. Pressure's going up, which is indicative of this area of low pressure beginning to fill in. Lots of areas of convection on the east and southeast sides of this low right here, judging by the puffy cumulus clouds forming off the coast. These do have a history of producing lightning over the last 20 minutes or so, just as a heads up if you're along the coast. So, forecasted central pressure has increased to 983 millibars. So, it's gone up about 10 millibars from peak pressure, which means the low is beginning to fill in and collapse on itself. So in about 24 to 36 hours time, this thing will be fizzled, as I say, fizzled into nothingness. And it's only moved a little bit, maybe 50 miles or so over the last 18 to 24 hours. So this is going to continue to rotate in the thunderstorms about the low pressure center. We're really seeing the cumulus take off here as well. If we switch back to infrared, shows growing cloud tops all along the northeast and southeast side of the spin here. Just had some new lightning strikes with this little area of cumulus developing off the coast as well. So we're watching this area moving onshore. And hang on, let me switch you guys back to radar scope real quick. I've been watching this storm for some low-level rotation embedded within it. Believe this is the newest frame. Let me just go back and check real quick. Yeah, this is the newest frame. So the rotation's not as abundant as it was a few minutes ago, as seen here. This is a pretty nice couplet for Washington standards. Couplet has since started to fall apart a little bit, so rotation's getting pretty sloppy, but it is still there, just a little bit. And see how the radar echo is starting to weaken a little bit. Seeing a few little cells trying to get going here. There's this one down here too. I'm not seeing clear as day rotation on it right now. Just have to make a correction to one of my tweets real quick. Okay, that's fixed. Now we may continue. It is showing maybe a little area of strong winds on the backside of this. See the little light blue contour back here. Overall, a really impressive radar signature, really showing up on this one little lone storm. This is moving towards the north-northeast. Well, this will likely follow in the same footsteps as this storm over Highway 101 in Jefferson County right now. Which means it should stay out over mainly open waters for the next couple of hours or so. Ooh, what is going on here? Looks like the outbound winds have drastically increased on this little cell out here. Yeah, it's showing convective damaging winds off the coast right now. So I wonder if the NWS is going to put an alert on this, a marine warning. Because radar right now is showing 65 mile per hour outbound winds on this, just above the surface. A really impressive radar signature on that one right now. The storm relative velocity is even crazier. We can get it to load. No, it's not going to load. No, this is what the storm relative velocity looks like. So it decided it wanted to change up. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. 5 viewers right now, 4 stream likes. Thank you all for liking the stream. Anyone is new to the chat or just watching radar at the moment, this is your Radar Scope Pro for PC. Got reflectivity on the left and velocity on the right. Watching a pretty nice little couplet signature on this storm hanging off the coast right now. And then as we go a little bit farther south, the other one I'm eyeballing right now is this cell right here. It briefly became a bit more organized and started showing some stronger radar echoes there for a couple of frames, but has since started to decrease just a tad bit. Very interesting to see what happens when this one makes landfall. Gotta be a pretty phenomenal view off of Highway 101 here in Jefferson County right now. This is due west of the town of Queets right now. Moving towards the north-northeast. Yeah, so one thing we're also watching today is the chance of thunderstorms inland as well. Let me show you guys what I mean by that right now. So before we do that though, current satellite imagery around the area, a combination of low and high clouds at the moment. More sun breaks on the way for Olympia up through Seattle. Might be trying to get an organized line going here. It's a little bit hard to tell. Looks like a little bit of a multi-cell cluster trying to come together into a line off the coast. But we have a bunch of little individual cells off the coast right now. Quite a few of them producing lightning, and it's not showing up on radar scope, but it is showing up on windy. So this is the 12Z NAM 3KM, showing a pretty interesting signal for storms here. This would be at 2 p.m. this afternoon, showing a thunderstorm over the Grand Mound area, Lewis County into Thurston County. And then a pretty robust thunderstorm growing over Mason and Kitsap counties, crossing into Pierce County here. This would be at 3 p.m. Possibly some cell activity crossing over the Puget Sound into Whidbey Island. And then a much stronger storm showing up here on the forecast at 4 p.m. directly over downtown Seattle. And the storm may be trying to develop over the Nisqually. Then just some isolated cell activity as we go through the afternoon. So this is extremely interesting to me because both the HER and NAM high-res models have been showing something similar for this since last night. And I don't know if you guys saw, if anyone saw my Facebook stream last night, but we were watching some models as well. And these were also showing some activity over central Kitsap or Bainbridge Island around 3 p.m. today. It's been bouncing around quite a bit, especially on timing and position. But see, very similar solutions showing up on the models here. Yeah, the 15Z HER shows the activity around 7 p.m., a little bit farther east than what it was showing. Check out the 12Z. Yeah, 12Z has the activity a bit farther south and east and weaker. "13Z was really showing it over the Central Sound, like big time, possibly overdoing it quite a bit. This would be at 4 p.m. today if this model were to verify. "14Z at 5 p.m. shows this. So it seems like the 15 and 16Z on the HER are a little bit more underwhelming in terms of coverage and strength. Still showing something similar in the same area, just nowhere near as intense. This is lightning flash potential around the area. It shows lightning flashes starting as soon as 11 a.m. for the South Sound. And then widespread between Seattle and Tacoma at around 1 p.m. But this likely won't verify exactly as it's showing. Starting to see the sun pop out a little bit again. Alright, 5 stream likes. Thank you all for liking the stream. It means a lot. Okay, do we have anyone that wants to open up a Q&A session right now? Have any questions about the weather today, tomorrow, the rest of the week, next week, so on? The experimental model too was showing some pretty interesting signals as well. It was showing quite a bit of activity around Everett around 4 p.m. today. And then a lot of widespread activity here going into the foothills of King and Snohomish County at 6 p.m. So I don't 100% trust what this model's showing so far because it is experimental. But it's picking up on some similar signals that the other high-resolution models have been showing, which really seems kind of tempting. Here's some other models I don't use too often, like this is the WRF ARW. And it's not picking up on any of that. WRF FV3. Maybe. Yeah, these models down here, I don't use those at all, realistically. Here's the European has to show for 1 hour precip. We're just getting the 12Z rendered now. Around the time frame that we're looking at, so between about 2 and 6 p.m. is what we're looking at. Yeah, it likes this area over the Kitsap Peninsula. That was showing up pretty good on the short-term models last night when I was streaming. Shows 1 hour rainfall rates of around 0.2 inches between 4 and 5 p.m. So that could be convective, which means associated with an area of thunder and lightning, perhaps. Also shows an area of stronger rain out here as well at 7 p.m. This is pushing, if not exceeding, a 1/4 inch out here. It actually shows max 0.3 inches per hour. So definitely some good signals on the Euro as well. It's not showing as good signals for lightning flash potential as it was last night. And then lightning flash potential through the day tomorrow as well. Be a little small area over the east side, 5 p.m. tomorrow, possible lightning. It agrees, for the most part, that it wants to keep the most robust activity over the Olympic Peninsula mainland. We check out the averages. Yeah, it's saying that the greatest chance of thunder and lightning will likely be to the 2 areas of darkest blue here between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. today. But also an outside chance across most of western Washington today too for lightning. All right, let's go back and check some wind speeds real quick. These are maximum wind gusts. Most recent wind gusts up here, Whidbey Island, was 46 miles per hour. There is a wind advisory in effect for Island County through 5 p.m. and it warns of wind gusts of up to 55 miles per hour. Let me show you why real quick, because the max wind gust since midnight was 53 miles per hour here at the Whidbey Island NAS station. So they put out a little short fuse wind advisory for this area. All right, Nolan, hello, welcome to the stream. Waterspout possibilities today. Well, I've been keeping my eyes peeled on the radar off the coast, and let me show you what has been showing up here. Been watching this area of interest here for about the last half hour or so, and it was showing some pretty good indications of waterspout potential. We have to go way back to see it as well. So this is when it was just off the coast of Tahola. You see the reds are outbound winds from the radar, green are inbound winds from the radar. This indicates a rotation couplet. Did have a pretty good area of rotation near the surface here. This was at 10:02 this morning. So there could have maybe been a brief waterspout on this. And right here was interesting as well, because these outbound winds these outbound winds were showing up as a whopping 65 miles per hour at one point. See? Right there. It's showing between 62 and 65 mile per hour outbound winds near the surface. But it was only for a single frame, and then it started to dissipate. So, nowhere near as good of a rotation signal now. Looks like the rotation may have fallen apart, but this is approaching Jefferson County and should remain southeast of La Push and Quileute, but this will be making a run towards Forks. It will be interesting to see what happens when this makes landfall. There's not a lot of people that live out here, though, so we don't have very many reports from the ground. By windshield, I'm guessing that auto-corrected from wind shear, right? Lots of clouds moving in lots of different directions. Yeah, the wind shear is abundant out there this morning. Been watching this cell out here as well, too. Was a little more organized about 20 minutes ago, but has since sort of became sloppy. Not showing any rotation up here at the moment. This cell will likely follow in the footsteps of this one approaching Jefferson County right now, and will stay over open waters for the next hour to hour and a half. Yeah, he meant wind shear. Yeah, there's quite abundant wind shear out there today. This is common when you have these mid-latitude cyclones right off the coast. So radar scope's not showing nearly as much lightning, but I was getting lightning signatures on windy quite a bit. Let's refresh the page and see if anything new pops up. So lots of areas of embedded convection popping up. All of these are areas of convection. These little single cells or multi-cell clusters on the eastern side of the spin right here. It's a good thing this low is really starting to fill in now. It's going to rapidly begin to fill in over the next 24 hours and then begin to evaporate. Which basically means the pressure differential decreases and the equilibrium is reached. And so this low center is really going to start to become sloppy as we go on throughout the day. But these thunderstorms and showers are still going to continue to rotate about the center of low pressure. And it's going to be interesting later on too, because you were probably on here when I was looking at the models, but it showed some areas of convection over the Central Sound sometime between about 3 and 7 p.m. this afternoon. And models have been pretty consistent with the timing, at least the range of timing between 3 to 7, but the location and intensity of possible thunderstorms has been all over the board. Yeah, really seeing the sun out right now. Nice little sun break popping up in Tacoma. So some more low clouds following, and then we should get some pretty nice sun breaks for a short time until these storms start to move on shore. Not seeing any new lightning in the last 15 minutes or so. We did have some lightning with these two cells here. I believe I was watching this one in particular on the radar. But yeah, plenty of low-level shear out here. So the waterspout potential is there, 100%. Let's look at bulk shear. And yeah, there's a lot of bulk shear. The 0 to 6 kilometer bulk effective shear and knots. Over the area right now. I mean, if I zoom out, do you think Vancouver will get thunderstorms? You're talking about Vancouver, Washington, or BC? Because the better chance will for sure be in BC. The farther north and west of Seattle you are, the better your chance of storms will be today. Yeah, shear starts to decrease as we go into the afternoon. BC, okay. Yeah, so the chance of storms is there for sure. We have a lot of, well, favorable amount of low-level shear in the atmosphere. So the red contours are somewhere in the 40 to 45 knot region, which 1 knot is equal to 1.15 mile per hour for winds. So 40 knots would be the equivalent of 46 miles per hour. So 46 miles per hour of 0 to 6 kilometer bulk effective shear, which is quite a lot for Western Washington standards. Favorable low-level helicity as well. This is just one of the ways to measure spin in the lower atmosphere. We were even seeing some helicity tracks over the sound at one point too. I think it was in a previous model run. Yeah, I did see some tracks there at one point, which are indicative of rotating updrafts within cells. But not seeing a clear signal of that anymore. Okay, it shows up better on the NAM. Let me zoom in on this for you. It's not too often you see updraft helicity tracks west of the Cascades. Now, the last time it showed this was March 26th of this year, but obviously that didn't equate to anything. And right around the same time, shows helicity tracks here across the east side from 4 to 5 p.m. So one other thing to watch closely, this is saying that we could have a thunderstorm with a rotating updraft moving from southwest to northeast across parts of the Seattle metro area. Really fascinating signal on that. And surface CAPE aligns well with it. Surface CAPE pushing almost 700 joules per kilogram in some areas. But can we get the sufficient daytime heating to take advantage of this instability? That is the question. We have the moisture. We certainly have the lift over the area. And we have the instability. Let me rephrase that. We have the instability and we have the moisture, but can we get the lift from daytime heating? Which just means the sun warms the ground and causes the air to rise into a layer of much cooler air above the surface. That's where you get your instability from. I want to take a look at some soundings here real quickly. Let's pull up the NAM 3KM. This is pivotal weather. You can clearly see the spin there. And that's just temperatures. Let's pull up composite reflectivity and look right around 4 p.m. So we want 23 to 0Z. So yeah, and it shows a big time robust storm over there. Go ahead and pull the KC MEDAR, which is CTEC. Not too bad, pretty decent lapse rates. We do have a little bit of inhibition, but we do have favorable surface level CAPE at this time. Let's go to an hour before. Showing up marginal severe. A few of these forecasts were showing marginal severe, but it should be taken with a grain of salt. This doesn't show any surface level inhibition and really favorable surface level CAPE, 484 joules per kilogram. Shows low base storms, but relatively low top, so nowhere near as high of a cloud top as you need for a severe thunderstorm. It still looks favorable enough for some lightning and thunder for sure, maybe some small hail. Hodograph doesn't look favorable for low-level rotation, at least at that time. You really want a bit of a spin between the 0 and the 1 here. So you want this to be an angled line. See how it's relatively straight? That's not favorable for low-level rotating storms. But still, really decent instability curve. This would be at 3 p.m. for SeaTac Airport. So surface to 3 kilometer lapse rate is 7.7 degrees Celsius per kilometer. That's really favorable. K indices of 18, so really low K index for thunderstorm potential. 0 to 3 kilometer instability is 102 joules per kilogram, so not bad there. Downdraft cape is 400 joules per kilogram. So could have some strong downdraft winds, possibly 35 to 40 mile per hour downdraft wind gust possible in an event like this. Then this would be at 4 p.m., 23Z. A little bit of inhibition starts. We start to get a little bit of a warm nose here. And then 5 p.m., marginal severe's back. Have a really, really saturated low level of the atmosphere below about 10,000 feet. 60-degree temperature, 57-degree dew point, more than favorable for thunderstorms. Really low base on this one and a little bit of a low top, however. So we really need the cloud tops to get up towards about 10 kilometers or so, so right about here where the EL line is. We want that EL to be higher and the LFC to be lower. We want the distance between these two lines to be greater, in theory. But really, really nice looking instability curves on these soundings for SeaTac. So 0 to 3 kilometer cape, 131 joules per kilogram. Downdraft cape, 473 joules per kilogram. There we go, K index of 32, favorable for thunderstorms. This is just a composite for thunderstorm potential, mainly. You usually want above 30 for the best chance of storms. Lapse rates start to go down a little bit, though. We're down to just under 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer from 0 to 3 kilometers. 6 p.m. still showing that marginal severe hazard, perhaps. Lapse rates are definitely a little less favorable in this setup. A little bit of surface-based capping. It shows 489 joules per kilogram of low-level instability. 162 joules per kilogram in the lowest 3 kilometers of the atmosphere. And lower tops on these, though, so although we do have low bases, we have low tops as well, which will limit thunderstorm strength for most of the area. So it looks like this storm that we were watching is starting to make a landfall. Let's go back to the radar real quick. Yeah, the rotation's almost completely fallen apart. And I believe it looks like maybe we're not getting as much surface heating here on the coast, which is not allowing these storms to grow or maintain their strength as they would over the water. Storms are getting a little bit sloppy off the coast right now. We do have showers moving into the Forks area right now. These have a history of producing lightning and rotation over the open waters. So just as a heads up, if you know anyone in Forks, just tell them that heavy rain's on the way. This includes Clallam Bay as well. Areas west of Port Angeles and east of Nia Bay. Seeing quite a bit of sun outside my window here in Milton right now. Let's switch back to the Camino Island radar, see what's going on inland. Yeah, there's some showers coming my way right now. Heavier rain right now over the foothills of King County. This is ranging from the eastern part of Auburn through Black Diamond, Ravensdale, Maple Valley, Hobart. Moving towards the north-northeast right now. Towards North Bend, Snoqualmie, Riverbend area, Rattlesnake Lake, and so on. So heavy rain is on the way. Luckily, it'll be brief. Do have some showers trying to get going here. Passing over Yelm right now. About to move over McCord Air Force Base. Yeah, so not much wind going on at McCord right now. Only 3 miles per hour from the south-southwest. Temperature 59 over dew point of 54. Pressure right now is 1010.5 millibars and seems to be increasing. Elsewhere, very isolated showers at this time. Not seeing any real good signs of surface-based convection firing up inland right now. Not yet, at least. Gusting to 21 out of the south at Olympia. 26 out of the southeast at Quileute. See what it says for wind right now. Still showing winds near the surface in the 50 to 55 mile per hour range within the area of convection. So this isn't associated with the pressure gradient within the area of low pressure. This is within the actual shower itself. So possible strong wind gusts, not damaging, but strong wind gusts possible for the Forks area in the next half hour or so. Let's see what Facebook's saying, because I haven't refreshed Facebook in some time now. Yeah, I got 14 notifications. Really interesting. Apparently, some people on Facebook are having issues where Facebook is kicking them off of my page and saying that they no longer follow it. Does anybody watching on here right now have that issue or know anyone that's been having that issue with any other pages? It's the first I've been notified of that, but I do have an issue where it says the people who are already following my page are shown as invited. Little funky. Thank you all for continuing to like the stream. Currently at 8 likes. I believe we're at 8 viewers right now. Alright, Moonheart, welcome in. Yes, that will happen. Sherry, welcome in to the chat. Zero issues with Facebook in the past. except for when it comes to stars, right? Because you mentioned yesterday you were having some issues trying to send stars. Outside of stars, though, no issues with Facebook. Yeah, so, geez, what a way to kick off the last quarter of the year. Looking at storms in the area. We got a new scan. What does it show for wind? Yeah, it's showing. So you had 52.6 miles per hour there above the surface. Being jumped will also happen on YouTube, also very frustrating for the followers. Completely understandable. Couldn't see the pole either. Yeah, that was that was a fail, big time. It said I got back 0 results, even though I voted on my own poll just as an experiment. Still said 0 results. So it looks like Facebook has some work to do on their user interface, at least for the streaming part of it. I can post an update on my page right now, as a matter of fact. And post an update on this. Thank you for doing these lives, very helpful. Yes, well, thank you for continuing to tune in, Moonheart. Without you guys watching these streams and sharing to get Puget Sound Stormwatch out there to your friends, none of this would be possible for me. Looking to really bounce back for October. September was a little bit of a downer compared to what I thought it would be. Was definitely having some issues with mental health getting in the way. So I'm kind of looking forward to a new outlook for October. Yeah, I wish it didn't have to come to it, but I am eventually going to have to start stressing donations a little more, just because times are becoming really tight here behind the scenes. Financially, I should say. Yeah, so, oh wow, 54.8 miles per hour. Yeah, this is gonna have to be updated for sure. If what the radar is showing right now is accurate, then this shower is putting out quite a bit of wind from it. We'll definitely be posting an update to Facebook on it right now. Okay, update posted to the page. Alright, Sherry, there's no issue being late. Don't worry, you're not missing very much. We're really just looking at the radar as it happens right now. Do you mind doing another brief summary of today's events? Sure, yeah. So, you see some rain coming into my area right now. It's sunny outside, some clouds, but looks like it's about to slam the door on that very shortly. No, that's not the radar selection. Okay, there we go. Nope, doesn't want to show reflectivity anymore. Yeah, so I'll show you the update here in just a moment. Just want to see if I can get this radar updated. Unfortunately, I've decided it wants to be a little troublesome now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so some rain showers starting to creep up the I-5 corridor in Tacoma, moving towards the northeast. All right, let's go back to the satellites. So, new lightning strikes being picked up on Windy, not being picked up on radar scope though. Lots of convection going on here, so we'll be watching this as it propagates inland. A lot of these will be rotating about the center of low pressure, which is right here. Current surface pressure, according to the European, is 984 millibars. So we're really starting to see the center fill in. So once it fills in enough, it'll start to evaporate in on itself, and the pressure differential will be balanced. Which means, in essence, the wind will die out, and there will be no more storm. This is expected to move about 50 or so more miles to the east-southeast before it really starts to collapse in on itself. But in the meantime, we'll still be watching this area here as it moves inland. This is a lot of unstable air off the coast here. We can get enough favorable daytime heating between these sun breaks here. Can definitely get some surface-based storm action going across the Puget Sound. And models have been picking up on that quite a bit overnight. This is surface-based CAPE, a measure of instability. Later on in the day as we go through the afternoon, a lot of areas of 400 plus joules per kilogram of instability. And even 600 to 700 joules per kilogram here in Seattle around 6 p.m. This is thunderstorm K index, a measure of thunderstorm potential. You really need anything over 30 for the best bets. And so well over 30 up here in the North Sound. 34 K index over SeaTac. You're seeing a really favorable environment for any thunderstorms to develop if we can get sufficient daytime heating this afternoon. Even showing helicity tracks, which is a measure of the amount of turning in a thunderstorm's updraft, which could be indicative of funnel cloud potential as well. So this is showing a nice rotating thunderstorm moving from southwest to northeast over parts of the Seattle metro area between realistically 4 and 5 p.m. today. I'll have to watch that as well. Composite reflectivity shows a similar solution here as well. Showing this is the 12Z NAN 3KM, so this is the 5 a.m. run. It's going to be a while before we get our 11 a.m. run to initialize. But what the 12Z NAM 3KM model is showing is a nice thunderstorm over Mason County moving into Kitsap County sometime around 3 p.m. today, and then blowing up over Seattle at 4 p.m. This is the one that has the helicity tracks on it. So Normally, I just kind of bat this out of the way if it was one model run, but it's been showing it consistently in several model runs now, across both the Her and the Nam. Just different times in different locations, so the spread is quite considerable on this. If it were to consolidate a bit as we get closer to the afternoon, then we'd definitely be sounding the alarm on that. But it's just not super high confidence on this right now. And the new 17Z Her starting to initialize. We're only out to 4 hours, but showing something similar here. Storm possibly developing over the Olympia area, moving to the northeast in almost the exact same track as the previous models have been showing. Time is 11 a.m. right now. This isn't really doing a great job initializing. It's doing all right, but the radar echoes are nowhere near as strong as it's showing down here. It's close, I will say. It is pretty close. So we'll really be watching this as we go into the next hour, because it shows, the new 17Z at least, shows a lot of this activity really starting to ramp up as the sun breaks come in and we get that sufficient daytime heating for a short time. So last couple runs have been semi-consistent on the coverage of this. I need to wait to get a few more frames out of this to really come down to more of a solid forecast in the extreme short term. Sun starting to disappear out the window. All right, I'm going to get up and stretch, get some water here. I'm going to leave it on this screen right now. So it'll show all the lightning strikes in real time if we get any. So I will be back here shortly. Thank you all for your patience. Yeah, the sky's really starting to darken out to the west. Light rain and a bit breezy in Parkland. Yep, that's the showers coming in, and it should be right on top of you here in a minute if it's not already. Wind's picking up pretty good here in Milton. Let me see what my personal weather station down the street has to say. A brief gust of 15 miles per hour here a couple minutes ago. Wind directions mainly out of the east, which is a little bit interesting to see. Total of 0.14 inches in the rain gauge so far since midnight. Go check some max wind gusts around the area. Not seeing any new max wind gusts. For anyone just tuning in who knows anyone in Island County, they have a wind advisory in effect until 5 p.m. Max wind gusts of 53 miles per hour was observed sometime after midnight. Most recent gust was 48 miles per hour. So wind advisory for wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour predicted through 5 p.m. Elsewhere, pretty calm for the most part. Not seeing too much for wind gusts. Even off the coast, not seeing too much. Let's go check out some sounding forecasts for the HER real quick. Need the 17Z out to 6 frames or so. Go look at SeaTac Airport. It's marginal, for sure. It's actually even showing marginal severe for SeaTac at noon. But really low top cells, though. We really need to get those lapse rates to steepen to really increase this instability curve. Little bit of low-level rotation showing up on the HER hodograph as well. Yeah, the little bounce in the curve there for a short time. It disappeared though pretty quick. Yeah, same there. Nice little curve in the 0 to 1 kilometer wind profile there. If this were linear, this would be basically no threat of low-level wind shear. This does have a nice little curve to it though. And it shows marginal. Oh, got a ding right there. Okay, that was Portland. Never mind. And we'll figure out if Seattle does their weekly test over NOAA Weather Radio today, too. I'd figure they'd have more than one reason to postpone it. Also helps as well that the government's shut down, too, so it could have some effect on how some things are run. Yeah, I really like what this sounding is showing on the HER 3KM. This would be at 2 p.m. today. Nice little hodograph curve here. Favorable lapse rates, 7.6 degrees Celsius per kilometer in the lower 3 kilometers. Favorable moisture curve here. A little bit low topped, but relatively low base. And don't need much lift to get to the level of free convection. This little yellow line here. So this will be really interesting to see if anything interacts with this environment. Because surface-based CAPE, according to the HER at this time, is 725 joules per kilogram with no inhibition whatsoever. Which means no part of this red line is on the opposite side of this white dashed line. Nolan says, can you do YVR, please? Yes. Sure thing. Looking at... Nope, never mind. Okay, I need to pick up a METAR tag then for Vancouver, but we'll do the approximate area. So I'll do an approximate coordinates. So this would be for 3 p.m. Still saying marginal severe up there as well. Let's check for current. So this was the 10 a.m. run. It's also showing marginal severe up there as well. Getting a lot of comments coming out on Facebook. I'm in Forks, just raining normal. No wind. That's good to hear that they're not seeing much wind in Forks. So looks like most of the wind is staying elevated, not making it towards the ground, which is good news. Hang on, Nolan. I'll finish your question here in a second. I just got a reply to a comment on Facebook. I just had someone out of Forks saying they weren't seeing any wind at the moment. Do we have any new lightning strikes? So some showers moving into my area right now. I'm not going to zoom in any closer so I don't accidentally dox myself. Sun's trying to peek back out again, so depending on how much sunlight we can get reaching the ground around the area today, things could become very interesting later on. Already showing some heavier rain showers in the YVR area right now. So let me just make sure I have the right METAR tag here, because YVR, feel free to correct me, Nolan, if you're still on here. Is that Vancouver or Victoria? Let me look it up on my end real quick. Yeah, okay, so it's Vancouver International. Okay. So I did have the right idea. Let me because I think, yeah, Canada has a different METAR system. That's why. You put a C, not a K first. There we go. This is going to be the most accurate one right here. It's already showing a favorable instability axis in place for you. Still looking at some low top cells, a little over 7 kilometers high. So anything that does occur probably won't be too strong. This definitely favors some lightning and thunder, maybe some small hail later on. Nice steep low-level relapse rates. Nice moisture curve down here. The moisture profile is pretty steep, not too shallow. So that's good. Definitely have a little bit of turning in the low levels of the atmosphere. So it's reasonable to see why the marginal severe sounding is popping up here. So Sherry asks, if we get thunder lightning in the Kitsap area, is it only for this early evening or possible through the night too? So most likely this threat will also be nocturnal as well, although it will be much lesser as we go through the night because the daytime heating shuts off. We do have a slightly renewed threat as we go through tomorrow as well when the sun comes up. We're out to 9 hours on this one. A little bit less robust on the 17Z her. Shows the storm being mainly west and earlier in the day, as well as less intense. So we had the model consistency there for a few runs, and it seems it just vanished, which is textbook for something like this. You know, should have known, right? Should have known that it would decide to flop. Yeah, pretty nice low-level photograph showing up for YVR. Still pretty favorable instability in the low levels. Nice surface-based cape, 575 joules per kilogram, no inhibition. Low base, but still relatively low top. Then we go into, this is 22Z, so this is 3 p.m. And 4 p.m., the marginal SVR pops up again. Look at that curve. That has a nice little bounce on it. Really favorable low-level shear up at YVR. Not as deep of a moisture profile. And we do have a little bit of surface-based inhibition here where the red line goes to the right side of the white dash line. Still pretty low top, so we do have more of an elevated threat, it looks like. Not as surface-based, but still pretty elevated. 8.2 degrees Celsius per kilometer in the lower 3 kilometers of the atmosphere. So really steep lapse rates from 0 to 3 kilometers in Vancouver. So overall, if we, this is at 5 p.m. too. Really nice photograph here. If we can get any storm to interact with this environment and still have some sufficient daytime heating that heats the surface, we could definitely see something take off up in Vancouver, for sure. And the HER model here shows some storms trying to fire off here in the Vancouver area at around 6 p.m. tonight. The really interesting soundings showing up for these models. Yeah, so the thunder and lightning risk around this area is going to be mainly this afternoon before the sun sets. There's a slight stray chance of some storms happening overnight. It's not looking too great right now. Let's go pull up South Hill, see what that has to say. So this would be 6 a.m. today, so we'll probably want to go out to about noon or so. And less favorable photograph for this area. Do have quite a bit of instability here. Nice and extended moisture profile here. A pretty steep moisture going all the way up to upwards of 15,000 feet. And once again, no inhibition near the surface. We are a little bit under 100 joules per kilogram for 0 to 3 kilometer instability though. So lacking in that profile just a bit, but we do have favorable low-level lapse rates over 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Low base, but once again, still relatively low topped. Then at 1 p.m. for South Hill shows the marginal severe again. Still a little bit lacking on low-level cape. Downdraft cape is immense, almost 600 joules per kilogram though, so could see some relatively strong downdraft bursts with some of these storms if they can get going. Pretty steep lapse rates near the surface, 7.6 degrees Celsius per kilometer, but we're still dealing with those low cloud tops. This is around 7.5 kilometers. You really need the cloud tops to go over 9 kilometers to have what we would consider high top storms around these parts. Still overall, relatively linear wind profile in the lower levels. So not looking good for wind shear. So the chance of seeing a funnel cloud around here is pretty low at this time. Then this would be 5 p.m. The cloud tops really start to drop off. Cloud bases go up. Not good for storms. This looks like the atmosphere really begins to stabilize after 5 p.m. in the South Sound. Yeah, because the farther we go, the closer the distance is between these two lines here. You don't want that if you want storms. Really interesting soundings showing up, though. You don't see something like that too often around here. No new lightning strikes that I'm seeing so far. Looks like this cumulus is really starting to bubble up off the coast here. Not quite showing up on radar pretty good quite yet. Let's go switch back to radar scope, see what radar scope has to say. Little bit heavier shower activity over the tide flats, moving to the northeast. Otherwise, light showers around these areas right now. A little bit heavier. These showers just crossed over I-90 not long ago. These are moving up into the foothills east of Carnation and Duval. Yeah, so the threat has since passed over Forks by the looks of it. Gusting to 29 out of the southeast at Quileute. Of course, I can't get the radar to load. Radar scope seems to be a little buggy at this hour. There we go. Lot of little squigglies off the coast here. You even had a lightning strike show up there at one point. Maybe a little bit of rotation up here, but not a clear as day rotation signature as seen before. Looks like we have this other shower again that's exhibiting a little bit of rotation. It's probably a few thousand feet above the ground right now. Once again, showing those 55-mile-per-hour winds. Likely wind gusts. Once again, moving up towards Quileute and La Push. Let me just make an update real quick to the post I made. Geez, on radar scope, it showed 58.2 for outbound winds on that cell. Alright, update has been posted. So this cell here is moving directly towards La Push. Did exhibit a little bit of rotation at one point. Seems to have fallen apart a little bit, thankfully. Looks like maybe this part of the cell down here is trying to start rotating. But it's extremely shallow, low-level rotation if it is. Maybe a little bit down here as well. It's pretty hard to tell on the radar right now. Let's change this to storm relative velocity. Might be able to get a little bit of a better image here. Yeah, a little bit of rotation there for sure. You see maybe a few small pockets of shallow rotation within this little segment here. But not really strong signals of rotation right now, by the looks of it. All right, thank you all. We got the 10 likes, 40 total views, and 7 viewers at the moment. Been a while since I've done a general update, so for anyone who hasn't tuned in before, my name is Anthony. I'm the host and founder of Puget Sound Stormwatch. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, Blue Sky, etc. Just currently doing some radar searching right now. We are looking at the coastal radar, watching all of these offshore storms produce some lightning and a little bit of low-level rotation at times. But so far, no reports of waterspouts yet. The area of interest right now is this little cell approaching La Push from the south. Somebody's vacuuming upstairs. So, now, while I'm talking, you may hear a little growling sound in the back. Just somebody vacuuming upstairs. Clouds have started to fill in again. It's got a new scan here. It showed 59.3 miles per hour. Thankfully, this isn't too close to the surface. I was a bit concerned at first because of its distance from the radar beam. Closer you are to the radar, and if it's showing rotation like within a few miles of the radar, then you should be very concerned. Because remember, radar beam height increases with distance from the radar. And so, if we're way out here, okay. I didn't even realize this was a feature. Okay, so there we go. So it actually shows you now. It shows you the distance as well as the beam height from the radar. That is really cool. Just another reason to get Radar Scope Pro. So it's showing the beam height is 2,400 feet above the ground. That means we're seeing, yeah, if we were only like a few miles away, beam height is only around 100 feet, which is really close to the surface. Actually, +1 the radar scope for showing that feature. So it's saying that it's showing winds near 60 miles per hour, around 2,400 feet above the ground. And it sounds like from the reports out of Forks earlier, with the strong winds above the ground, a lot of it didn't make it towards the surface, which is a good sign. It's showing still 59 miles per hour, which is considered damaging. About 24 to 2,500 feet above the ground. And since these are surface-based storms, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this did make it towards the ground. So, a little bit interesting to see that report from Forks didn't yield anything of importance. I'll be taking a break from the stream around 11:55 or so, 11:56, 11:57. A few minutes before noon to see if Seattle conducts their weekly test over NOAA Weather Radio. Just as a heads up for anybody watching, it's going to hang around. Anyone else have any comments, questions, or concerns they want to bring up while we're in some downtime? And also, guys, if you like the stream, go ahead and share it and encourage your friends to subscribe to Puget Sound Stormwatch on YouTube. Trying to make a close approach to 500 subs today. We are currently at 471 and counting. So 29 away from the big 500 mark. Still consistently showing 50 to 55, some higher winds at about 2,500 feet above the ground here. Okay, so I've got our live sub counter up now. So 471 at the moment. Let's see how high we can get this today. The most recent gust still showing 48 at Whidbey, 41 over the Salish Sea, 40 miles per hour over Crystal Mountain, 36. I think this is that the Destruction Island buoy. Nope, Cape Elizabeth. This is Destruction Island. Not showing 31. Max gust of 54 up here in the mountains of Whatcom County. This is just on the northeast flank of Mount Baker. Max 48 at Chinook, 47 at Crystal so far on the day. 45 way out here at the buoy. 54 just off of Central Vancouver Island. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, there we go. I almost crashed it. Jeez. Sun's trying to come out again outside. And yeah, it's showing some of these sun breaks moving up again through Tacoma. It'll be pretty short-lived for some time, though. Looks like some of the showers are trying to fill in these sunbreak areas, so we'll really have to watch in the next couple of hours, see if any of these take off into thunderstorms around here. The atmospheric conditions are for sure there. We just need the showers to take advantage of it. If we can get enough lift from surface heating, then we'll definitely see at least one thunderstorm around the Puget Sound today. Central pressure here in the low is currently at 985 millibars according to the European. (17Z) is fully rendered. Now you notice how overnight these storms move onto the coast and then they just fizzle. That's just because we don't have the sun to heat the surface overnight. So these storms quickly start to fizzle out as the stable Puget Sound air gets lofted up into them. They lose their primary source of lift and they start to collapse on themselves. Shows lightning flashes over I-90 going up to North Bend, 2 p.m. A little bit of disagreement on where these storms are going to occur. There's more than enough instability. We just need the sun to heat the ground all around the Puget Sound. It suggests a strong storm over northern King County, producing rainfall rates of up to 0.3 inches per hour between 6 and 7 p.m. And maybe some additional showers and possible storms. Perhaps over the Kitsap Peninsula, this is 0.2 inches per hour between 4 and 5 over Kitsap. Weird enough, the European shows some more wind gusts, pushing 40 miles per hour. This is between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. Saturday. We may have a little bit of trough try to undercut this ridge before it fills in, which could give us a little bit more wind. I'm in Olalla, okay. Yeah, so you're right on the southern edge of right on the southern part of Kitsap County, right after we're crossing into Pierce. Let's go look at heights. Yeah, this is probably that trough that comes through before the ridge starts to fill in. But that's later on in the period, so I may have been way out here. But this is just what the European's showing right now. So this trough swings out, the ridge tries to build in again, but there's a little bit of disagreement on where the ridge is going to fill in. Maybe between the troughing and the ridging. Then the ridge tries to establish for a short time, but then a trough comes undercuts it. This is all the way out at Friday the 10th, and then another trough comes through, swings through. And then the ridge tries to fill in again, but we're way out to the 16th at this point. So it's really crazy how we're seeing ridge signatures all the way out halfway through October. We're usually stuck under a really deep trough that just brings system after system after system. Go back to radar scope. Not seeing any lightning on there yet, but it still appears to be producing 55 plus mile per hour winds. A couple thousand feet above the ground as this cell starts to move into La Push. And bad, it actually does show wind. Wind for what, I wonder? Wind's starting to kick up a little bit outside. I'm going to take a break here in about 15 minutes or so. An extended break, I should say. You're seeing the rotation try to tighten up a little bit, so possible water spout potential with this little cell off the coast. Moving in the same general direction again as these cells we've been watching. Mainly towards the north-northeast. So luckily, these cells will mainly stay over open waters. Let's see here. The winds are gusting to 18 in Chehalis out of the south. Gusting to 21 in Everett out of the southeast. 21 in Port Townsend, southeast. 22 in Arlington, southeast. Gusts to 31 at Bellingham from the south-southeast. Gusting to 22 in Sydney, BC. That's on Vancouver Island. Gusting to 22 in Quileute out of the southeast. So we're at least seeing a little bit of that wind make it towards the ground. A little bit. On Facebook, we're pushing 24,300 followers already. Anybody who missed it yesterday, I hit 24,000 on Facebook. Already at around 24,270. I think the exact number was 276. 274. 24,274 followers on Facebook. Incredible. Yeah, maybe a little bit of rotation on the southeast side of the cell. a little shallow, but I definitely do see it there. And not seeing any new activity on YouTube yet. Still hanging on at 471. Anybody watching right now, if you're not subscribed, trust me, if you feel like subscribing, please do. Promise it will be worth it. Big plans coming up for the month of October. Gonna start uploading a lot of my drone footage from the last couple of years. I have drone footage, GoPro time lapses, full-on DSLR camera time lapses, videos of storms, and so on. I have quite the extensive backlog I need to clear through. So, coming soon, storm videos. Sherry says, rain starting here in the Olola area now. Does appear that way, yes. A little bit of a rain shower in your area right now, crossing off into Vashon. Likely some light rain over SeaTac right now. Light rain moving into the eastern parts of downtown Seattle. Some rain heading up towards index area between Gold Bar and Skykomish. So quite a ways west of the pass still. The heavier rain down here in Portland and areas south of Lewis County still. So really, the rest of the day, we're just watching to see what happens with this convection here. See, this cloud top is really taking off there. I could start producing lightning soon. It's really just, can we get enough clearing ahead of this here to get some of these storms to fire off in the Central Sound over the next couple of hours? That will be the big question. Gusting pretty good outside right now. My place. Sunshine in Parkland. Yeah, but only for a short time. So enjoy it while it lasts because lower clouds are on the way. Maybe some more sun breaks behind that, but then we watch to see if we can get any convective initiation in this area. Because that's when the fun stuff will definitely start up. There's yawning again. No new lightning strikes for a while. Let's see what I got going. Got a numerous amount of tabs open right now. Yeah, pressure's starting to go up. Slowly but surely. temperatures making a run towards 70 when there's sun breaks, which is definitely a good sign if you want storms later on. Dew points hanging around in the mid 50s right now. We could get those dew points to go up a bit, we'd be much better off too. So far, max wind gusts of 15 miles per hour. That was at 11:04 a.m. Alright, what do the ensemble forecasts have to say? Like, yeah, we don't even have the 12Z ensemble rendered yet. See what the GFS has to say. Yeah, GFS has something similar. Also has 2 upper level troughs swinging through as we go into the second week of October. Should be sometime between October 10th and October 14th. And it still wants to have that ridge try and fill in again, too. So heads up, everyone. I'll be taking a break here in about 3 minutes or so. It's going to check to see if the National Weather Service in Seattle does their weekly test or not at noon. See if we have any updates from the fires in the area as well. Last update on the Bear Gulch was 2 days ago. Same with the Tunnel Creek. Wildcat Fire actually adjusted it down from 14,333 to 14,316. So they took 17 acres off of it, but the containment's still the same at 6%. The Labor Mountain's over 37,000 now. Still only 7% containment. Lower Sugarloaf is pushing 40,000, but almost halfway contained. Then there's this little Red Mountain fire burning down here too. This has been hanging on for quite some time. No containment though. This is east of Forest Service Road 20, just southwest of Glacier Peak. Doesn't pose any threat to life or property right now though. Here in a minute, I'm going to be going on break. So I will see you guys here anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. So just hang on tight for me. See you guys momentarily. All right, thank you everyone for your patience. I am back. So, yeah, National Weather Service in Seattle did conduct their weather radio test today, even though we do have possibly some inclement weather coming in. But yeah, we are back in business. I see a lot of the audience has left us, but it's starting to come back. Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for your patience again. You see a little bit of sunbreak activity going on outside right now, especially around the South Sound west of Tacoma. Okay. Go back and take a look at radar scope real fast. This is 1202. Yeah, a couple more little defined areas of rotation in these little cells for sure. Especially right here. That will need to be watched for water spout potential. Alright, well, depending on if we can get the audience back, then it may be time to wrap things up soon. It's just too bad the Quileute sounding. Yeah, it last sounding went down on August 21st, so no more observed soundings for the coast. That's just too bad. But it is what it is. New lightning strike just popped up. So this is one of those cell clusters that's moving towards the north-northeast. Also has its eyes set towards the Forks area over the next couple of hours. Just go post this onto Facebook real fast. Saying one of the cells that remains harmlessly off coast has begun. Okay, update posted. Yeah, I can tell the viewership's down, so I think we're going to begin to wrap up the stream for today. Been going for over 2 hours now. If there's only one person viewing, then yeah, it's definitely time to wrap things up. So this storm is currently... At least the lightning occurred about 27 miles away from ocean shores. The rotation's about 23. Some more embedded rotation as well. About 28 miles out. Outside of that, not much more activities happening. Really just waiting to see if we can get anything to fire up in the lowlands. That's going to be the big what if today. Okay, everyone, I think we're going to begin to wrap up the stream for today. Depending on how things look this afternoon, I may go live again. You'll just see how it goes. It'll probably be a few hours from now. Just definitely need to get some food in my system. And we'll just see what happens from there. I'm going to begin to wrap things up for today, so thank you all for tuning in. This was Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch again. I think this is my 5th time streaming in the last 3 days, so it's been a very, very busy last few days in the weather world around here. So once again, I appreciate every one of you. Let's have a really... Ooh. New lightning there too. Yeah, so let's have a really productive last quarter of the year. Let's make it worth it. But yeah, just watching some lightning here off the coast right now. This will remain over open waters for the next 1 to 2 hours or so, making its way towards Forks, but it most likely will not hang on for the rest of the journey. Just looking at a lot of this convection here moving towards the coast. Let's see what happens with that. And what happens in these open air areas where the air mass is unstable. Storms could easily pop up in thin air anywhere down here. Yeah, Sherry, thank you for tuning in and staying for as long as you did. Sorry if it wasn't super eventful. Hoping later on does get eventful, so we will have to see what happens.